he's got the physical skill set better than any quarterback I've ever seen.
Brady Quinn quenches his thirst because it may be a while for him back there in the green room now.
Atlanta Falcons select Jamal Anderson, defensive end, Arkansas. Ted Ginn, wide receiver, Ohio State.
Notre Dame quarterback Brady Quinn sat in the green room longingly, pondering when his name would finally be called. Just a few months earlier, Quinn believed he would be the first player off the board.
Yeah, Brady Quinn is about to become a multimillionaire, and he could be the #1 pick overall in this weekend's NFL draft.
But teams kept passing and passing and passing. Just 2 years earlier, Aaron Rodgers was in the same boat, waiting helplessly while other names were announced. But Brady Quinn was no Aaron Rodgers. He was just another name in the 2007 quarterback class, the worst QB draft class of all time. When you think back to the 2007 NFL draft in its totality, which names come to mind? Less than a decade and a half removed, the class already boasts one Hall of Famer, Lions wide receiver Calvin Johnson, the second pick off the board. There's an NFL MVP and future Hall of Famer in Vikings running back Adrian Peterson, still around, by the way. There are 5 other likely Hall of Famers in the 2007 class: Patrick Willis, Darrelle Revis, Marshawn Lynch, Marshall Yanda, and Joe Thomas. In a lot of ways, it was a truly memorable class with a lot of great pros. But that was not the case at the most important position in football. There were 11 quarterbacks selected in the 2007 draft. None of them saw success on the field. A few of them have found it after their playing days, and others, not so much. This story starts at the Sugar Bowl on January 3rd, 2007, when the Notre Dame Fighting Irish squared off with the LSU Tigers. More than the two teams themselves were the 2 starting quarterbacks, Brady Quinn of Notre Dame and LSU's Jamarcus Russell. The general consensus was that Quinn would be the #1 pick in the upcoming draft, a slot held by the woeful 2-14 Oakland Raiders. Russell was viewed as a project with remarkable tools, a big frame, a rocket arm, and decent mobility. If everything went right, he could be another Dante Culpepper. Then, football happened. It was a contest early, but by the second half, LSU had blown Notre Dame out of the water, notching a 41-14 victory in front of every NFL scout in the land. Russell's gaudy tools were on full display. He was uncorking effortless deep balls, burning Notre Dame with his leg, and making every correct read. Quinn completed just 15 of his 35 passes, throwing 2 picks and fewer than 150 yards in the decisive loss for the Irish. Compared to Russell's cannon, Quinn's right arm looked like a pea shooter. The narrative had been flipped in just one night. For months, Quinn was a surefire #1 pick, and suddenly Russell had overtaken him. Fast forward to the draft. After going back and forth between 2 different prospects, the Oakland Raiders selected Jamarcus Russell with the first overall pick instead of Georgia Tech's Calvin Johnson. I don't need to tell you that this was the wrong pick. It was a catastrophically wrong pick. Calvin Johnson became a Hall of Famer at just 35 years old. Jamarcus Russell was out of the league at age 25. What went wrong for Russell? Well, where do you begin? The talent was apparent, but at 260 pounds and later up to 290, he didn't have the speed to get away from defenders, and he rarely made the right read. Why? That's simple, because he didn't watch film. In fact, coaches once gave him a cassette and asked him if he watched it, and he said yes. The tape was completely blank. It's not a surprise that he completed just 52% of his passes, threw 5 more picks than touchdowns, and washed out after just 3 years in the league. But let's get to the scraps of 2007 and then go to who was actually the best college QB in the draft. Eagles head coach Andy Reid took a chance on Kevin Kolb, a QB from the University of Houston. Moves like that would eventually cost Reid his job in Philadelphia. After sitting behind Donovan McNabb for a couple years, Kolb earned the starting job, until Michael Vick snatched it away in 2010. Kolb had shown flashes, but certainly not any long-term sustained success in the league. That didn't stop the Arizona Cardinals from handing him a 6-year, $63 million contract in 2011. Kolb started 14 games in Arizona, I guess it's good work if you can get it. Then you had John Beck out of Brigham Young, a nice Mormon lad who failed to win a game in 7 tries with Miami and Washington. Beck may have been a bust, given that he was the 40th overall pick in the draft by the Dolphins, but he's turned into a pretty good quarterback coach since retiring in 2012. Beck's worked with players like Tom Brady, Matt Ryan, Matthew Stafford, and now Zach Wilson with the Jets. I don't know if you'd be too proud of saying that. Carson Palmer's little brother, Jordan, followed a similar route. Are these not the same guy? He never threw a touchdown after becoming a 6th-round pick by Washington in 2007, but he went on to become one of the premier quarterback tutors in the business, receiving a lion's share of the credit for turning around the career of Josh Allen. Those were the scraps. But who was actually the best college QB in 2007? It wasn't Jamarcus Russell, and it wasn't Brady Quinn. Troy Smith dazzled in 2006, putting together a 30-touchdown campaign that culminated in a Heisman Trophy for the Ohio State quarterback. He got all the way to the national championship, where he lost to the Florida Gators, but Smith was stereotyped due to his shorter stature and relegated to the 5th round, where he joined the Baltimore Ravens. The tragedy of Troy Smith's career was not that he was an out-and-out failure in the NFL. Far from it. The Heisman winner notched an even 4-4 record with 2 underperforming teams in his career, and threw more touchdowns than interceptions, something a lot of the 2007 quarterbacks couldn't say. In fact, along with the Lions draft pick Drew Stanton, he was the only 2007 quarterback who didn't compile a losing record in the NFL. After an up-and-down but fairly promising rookie season, the Ravens went big on quarterback, drafting Joe Flacco the following year. Flacco was everything Troy Smith was not, a tall, statuesque pocket passer with an arm that amazed. But Flacco was not scheduled to start in the 2008 regular season. The job belonged to Troy Smith, now in his 2nd year as a Raven. However, late in the preseason, Smith came down with a rare disease called Lemare syndrome, a throat infection that took Smith out of the lineup and thrusted Flacco into the starting role. Flacco impressed as a rookie, eventually leading the Ravens to an AFC title game, and the rest is history. Troy Smith was unlucky. That's not to say the Ravens were wrong to go with Flacco down the stretch, but the former Heisman winner had a golden opportunity to prove himself and got the short end of the stick. Ultimately, Smith would have fared much better had he been drafted in 2017 rather than 2007, now that height is no longer a deal breaker. Thanks, Kyler Murray. And that takes us to the story of Brady Quinn, who, prior to the Sugar Bowl, was expected to become the best pro out of the whole bunch. The guy who, like Aaron Rodgers before him, was stuck biding his time in the green room, waiting for a team to save him from a terrible public nightmare. It turns out that team was the one he rooted for as a kid, the Cleveland Browns. The Browns had a chance to draft him 3rd overall, but spent that pick on a future Hall of Famer instead, left tackle Joe Thomas. Cleveland traded back into the 1st round to nab the Golden Domer, and Quinn was set to restore the Browns' former glory. How many times have we heard that? But like in the green room on draft day, Quinn was stuck on the sideline while starter Derek Anderson put together one of the most surprising Pro Bowl seasons in NFL history. Anderson guided the Browns to a 10-6 record, but in Brownsonian fashion, they missed out on what would have been their first playoff appearance in half a decade. Quinn held a clipboard and eventually got his chance when Anderson faltered during the 2008 season. The second-year quarterback's debut came on Thursday Night Football against the Denver Broncos, and it started with a bang. Quinn played what would be the best football game of his career, throwing 2 touchdown passes, no interceptions, and building a 2-touchdown lead in the 3rd quarter. Then the Browns, they Brownsed, blowing a 4th quarter lead and spoiling one of the best debuts by a quarterback ever. Quinn never really recovered, becoming another name on the Browns' jersey of death. It didn't matter that Quinn lost to Russell in the Sugar Bowl. They were both doomed. Like the rest of the 2007 class, Quinn failed. He joined the graveyard inhabited by the souls of Jamarcus Russell, Kevin Cobb, John Beck, Trent Edwards, Tyler Thigpen, and the rest of the QB class of the damned. Speaking of things that won't let you down, how about Raycons? 2021 wasn't as crazy as 2020 was it? At least we got some things back, but one thing that never left was the need for high-quality wireless earbuds like Raycons that start at half the price of other premium brands. Raycons give you great sound no matter where you go, the gym, the bus, long car rides, and they come in a variety of fits, sizes, and colors so that they can match you and your lifestyle. For me, I'm rocking my everyday earbuds when I'm editing so I can tune out the world. And don't forget, with free shipping and returns, gifting Raycons this year is easier than ever. So after this video, head on over to buyraycon.com/5 points and use the code HOLIDAY and get 15% off site-wide. Again, click the link below in the description box or go to buyraycon.com/5 points and use code HOLIDAY to get 15% off site-wide. Brought to you by Raycon.